Let's get personal with inflation. Hey, I'm Kaleb Paddock, the founder of 10 Talents Financial Planning, and today we're getting personal with inflation. What do I mean by that? Well, there's a lot of talking heads on the internet and just in the media, in the financial pornography complex, that are freaking out about inflation. And to be clear, it's a real thing. I'm not saying that it's not, but I want to focus you today not on the Consumer Price Index or the Federal Reserve projections or that. That's all insurance, just kind of out there reported Department of Labor data. Some people take it, some people don't, some people say it's stupid. We're not getting into that today. We're talking about personal inflation. So in terms of personal inflation, I want to give you an example, a tangible example today. The highest three areas, if you look at inflation over time, or just in your personal experience, you've probably noticed this, are in housing, so the housing inflation, daycare, so childcare expense inflation, and education. This would include private school, middle school, elementary, high school, as well as college. So what were those three? Housing, education, and childcare expenses. So I'm going to use myself as an example. I could freak out and be worried about inflation out in the wild, just like, oh, I'm reading all these reports. Should I be freaked out? The media says I should be freaked out. Housing. We own our home, fixed rate mortgage. Housing is not going to be in effect unless we want to upgrade, right? Unless we choose with our lifestyle. If we choose to upgrade or get fancier stuff, that will definitely affect us. But there's no large effect there in terms of having a fixed rate mortgage. It's probably the number one reason why people like owning a home, just practically, is the rent doesn't keep going up and you don't have to worry about getting evicted. The second one was childcare. My wife stays home with our 4 boys. She is caring for them and watching over them, and so that doesn't really affect us. And the last one, education, we homeschool our boys. We do have expenses related to that. But this is a great example of personal inflation versus the inflation out in the wild. You need to run this script through your own situation and figure out, is this something that I should be concerned about or not? Because depending on your answers to like those top 3, your lifestyle is going to drive your personal inflation. So I'd encourage you to stop worrying about the Consumer Price Index or like these numbers you read. Focus more on your personal inflation, because a lot of your personal inflation we get to control. Right? We get to decide what we purchase. There are some things we don't, property taxes, utilities, water bill. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the discretionary purchases that we make that are part of our lifestyle. Folks, we're very blessed. We live in a country with extreme excess. And I want to encourage you, if you're worried about inflation, to just take stock of, am I spending money in the most joyful, meaningful way possible? Or are there ways that I could maybe rearrange the spending in a more meaningful, joyful manner? You may find some extra dollars for your personal expenses, which affect your personal inflation. Lastly, how do we defeat inflation? The way we defeat inflation over time is owning the great companies of America and the world. They produce dividends and cash flow that rise over time. If you're curious about this, let me know, and I can show you data. Real data, not headline, financial pornography, but the real facts of owning the great companies of America and the world. This is the number one way, is you want to convert your hours, your time and expertise into dollars, and take those dollars and convert it into ownership of businesses. That's how you beat inflation over a long period of time, as well as providing, if you're in your working years, more value in the marketplace. More value, more expertise to have your income rise with inflation. Take those dollars, convert them into ownership of businesses and assets. Thank you so much for watching the video today, and I hope this gave you a little bit of a different spin on inflation.